And we're off. So, I have a lot of time tonight to dedicate to this project. So, we're going to kill it. We're going to go as hard and as long as we possibly can. So, I had a meeting with, I will just tell you here in the stream. I don't want to put it in any of the descriptions or anything quite yet, but I had a meeting with Dylan at the Rad Factory, and we went over some details. Dylan is cool as heck, and we are on the same wavelength about this thing. I told him exactly how I planned on building it, and he said that was fantastic. We were so close on our dimensions that I actually don't have to change anything about the current design. There really wasn't anything to change. Dylan came at me with a couple of requests, and one of them was actually something I was going to work on, which was adding this actuator, which is there's a little push rod piston for you Minecrafters that will turn this from a static downforce generating, drag generating spoiler to something with some actual engineering behind it. Well, armchair engineering, whatever you call what I'm doing here. But we are going to put active drag reduction on Dylan's fake F1 car. And what that's going to look like is probably the at least the top two blades or airfoils will be able to pivot flat to reduce the amount of drag that they cause in straightaways and stuff like that. What I want to know, and I asked him, but I also don't want to blow my cool with him, so I want to know if we can get this thing to trigger at a certain speed automatically so that he can just focus on driving, and at like say 10 or 20 miles an hour or whatever is appropriate, based on the speedometer, it just triggers a relay which opens up the drag reduction and starts to let the air pass over the wing without that much force. So let's see. I have a couple. Let's get our reference photos back up here. We're gonna need these today, but really what we're gonna do, we're gonna focus on actually making some of these parts functional. So in what they are right now, they are just like visual blocks. Nothing in particular is in its final form. So one of the things we talked about, he was concerned with, is how are we going to mount this to his car. So I got those dimensions, and we're going to go ahead and draw up some tabs. These I represented. These represented what I told him the plan was for that. Man, now I wish I had recorded our conversation, but that's not cool. You don't call somebody and then hit record. But I recorded my half of the conversation for use in his video. I'll send it to him maybe. But what I want to do, I want to start with the mounting brackets. I also want to actually use a real airfoil shape here. So we're going to import some reference sketches here. How are you doing tonight? Everybody doing all right on this Friday? I have taken some decongestants, the ones that they don't sell you in bulk because you can make meth with them, and people say that gives you a little boost of energy, so I'm hoping that'll work. And then I didn't have a Oh shoot, I did have a lot of caffeine today. Oops. But we're on with the Rockstar Whip Strawberry because that's like my favorite thing. So we're gonna roll with this, dude. We're gonna have such a ball tonight. So if you're just joining us, my name is Zach. You are watching Snachary. I do a little bit of everything. Today we are working with a automotive YouTuber YouTube channel called The Rad Factory to make a Formula One style inspired spoiler for their fake Formula One car. It's a little mini guy run off of a 4-cylinder. I found out is a 4-cylinder Ford Focus engine, which coincidentally was my first car. So I actually have a valve cover that I'm going to secretly send them. It's polished aluminum. I don't think they'll use it, but I don't need it. It's been in my shop for like 15 years, so they can have it. But we're making this spoiler. I'm going to use SolidWorks to create this. We're going to use a little bit of real-world math. We are going to attempt to run a flow simulation on this to investigate how much actual downforce it creates. We are going to install an actuator for DRS, which is drag reduction system, I think. And we're just gonna have fun with it. We're gonna 3D print the wing. I've already received the carbon fiber PETG that I will use for this project, and Dylan sent me a couple of panels that we're gonna use. We're gonna cut on the CNC to make our main side plates here. So yeah, we're rolling. This is happening. He said the deadline is flexible. He wants. I told him I initially thought that the DRS would be like a little bit of design creep and that I was going nuts with it, and he said no, that he wants that to be a main feature. So I'm like, yeah, dude, dope. I wanted to do that from the beginning anyway. I was going to integrate that. It is so cool that you said that. So I am online right now looking at a airfoil generator so that I can get a shape. I don't know anything about airplanes and that kind of stuff, but what I do know is that a spoiler is the exact you want it to be the exact opposite of an airplane wing, in that you are generating downforce as air passes over it. So we're gonna wing it. You like that? But we're gonna use some inspired. It is gonna be heavily inspired by true events, also known as. I'm looking at a picture of one off to the side. So the front end of this needs to be much narrower. And then it's wow. You know who would really be good at this is Peter Streeple. I feel like he just makes airfoils in his sleep. We're gonna X out of this and restart. Anybody watch Bluey? I like Bluey. We've already been at it for 10 freaking minutes, dude. I'm such a waste of time just talking. Let's see here. I think the way that we've done this is going to be helpful because we haven't constrained anything. We are constrained off planes, so we shouldn't have a issue making these adjustments. So let's go ahead. We'll go to insert reference geometry. No, in tools, sketch tools. Sketch picture, and we should have our screenshot of the airfoil. So when we started doing this, I was like, we're just guessing, it's for fun, blah blah blah. And then Dylan's like, oh, I would like to do a video where we talk about like the benefits of the spoiler and how much of a difference it made per lap time. And I was like, oh yeah, we'll run it through AirShaper, which is a mathematical model for it helps you visualize airflow. What the heck am I talking about? It's a simulated air tunnel. Is that right? What the crap am I saying? And I've never done that. Not with AirShaper. I've done plenty of airflow analysis. We used to make air conditioners, but I've never used AirShaper. So from what I understand, it's decently easy to use, and I never say no to an opportunity, so I'm like, yeah, let's go. But is that 3? Is that why I'm having a hard time with that? Is that 3 curves? So anyway, sorry Dylan, I don't know how to use AirShaper quite yet, but I will. And we'll get your faux Formula 1 car. See, what would be super cool is if you could scan the whole thing, and then we could start adding aero to it, like in different areas. But he's got other priorities too, so like I don't want to take up all his time with this, but it would be fun. So I'm really excited about the carbon fiber PET G. I ordered a filament dryer as well, which is something that I didn't believe in living in New Mexico, but I know for a fact that PET G prints better the dryer that it is. And I don't believe that the ambient humidity is like really that big of a concern, but I also don't want to waste material with crappy prints. Carbon fiber is not inexpensive, so okay, dope. Yes sir, yes sir, that looks much better. Yeah, and see, it didn't really affect our didn't really affect our main assembly model because it doesn't matter when you build off planes. You can make adjustments to things and it doesn't freak out. So the next one that I wanted to do was the main beam here. We're going to get a second reference image. We're going to put it in the sketch. What the crap? Why do I have external references in this? Oh, because of the width. Yeah, the sketch doesn't have one. Tools, insert, sketch tools, sketch picture. Okay, not so bad on this one. But again, probably just easier to start with a clean sketch. So, open source deadline is next week, I believe. Hopefully it hasn't passed already. But I intend to apply with my little desktop satellite tracking antenna project. And then I want to see if I can get PCBWay or JLC PCB to pay for it. I want to see if I can get them to sponsor a custom PCB with an ESP32 on it, because I think that would be a super sick project. And I always try to I am trying to utilize open source as a catalyst to get out of town and visit some place I've never been before. I'm not committed to San Francisco again, but it was really hard to be an exhibitor and enjoy the event. So, and I wouldn't go if I wasn't an exhibitor, just because I would just spend the whole time wishing that I had brought a project. So I'm gonna work on my antenna a little bit over the weekend, pitch it to open source, and then pitch it to PCBWay. So that should be fun. Oh yeah, it looks dope. It looks pretty good. How's it look compared to our reference? It looks fine. Here's the deal. We can't go off the reference as much anymore because I just don't know anything about how those shapes are achieved. I don't know their aerodynamic potentials. So we're going to be basing ours off of the work that we're doing here. So these actual airfoils that I pulled down from the internet with no regard for their relevancy to our project. So we're going to use the first one. So one thing I enjoy about doing these types of projects is that I get to use the tools that I spent so freaking long acquiring. And it's funny because you, as a as a creative person, you're like, oh, if I just had XYZ, then I would be able to make, you know, ABC. And then you get that tool and you're like not making the things that you bought it for. And I'm like, oh, it's because I don't have the time. No, it's because I don't have the I don't have the personal motivation to actually build the things. But when I'm doing it for somebody else, I'm like, oh yeah, I got all this stuff, we can make it happen. So we're gonna use my CNC, we're gonna use the P1S, we're gonna use maybe the A1 Mini, we're gonna use all the electronics that I've been gathering for hundreds of years, and we are gonna have, it's really cool. I just enjoy getting the opportunity to actually use the equipment that I've amassed. And in that, you know, when I do sit down and actually try to accomplish something, I have more expertise. I've pushed myself to learn how to use the tool, you know, for fear of giving a poor impression, so that when I go to use it for myself, I'm not worried about it. There's no drawback there. So okay, how's that look? Close enough? Yeah, buddy. These are sick. Ooh, she didn't like that. Okay. So let's talk about the dimensions that we got from Dylan. 5.5 inches to the outside. We're saying it's about 20 to the top. I don't know. Yeah. I think we determined that our dimensions were like close enough to make it work, so give me 1 second here. That was the Luna May, and she is at a party at Peter Piper Pizza. So that's fun stuff. Anyway, what should we start with? Where should we start with? I wanted to start with the braces at the bottom. We'll give it, something to build off of. So Yeah, there we go. So he said 5.5 between the braces, and I told him I'd give him a couple plates to work with. So let's just start. Ooh, what did I click? Let's start with a new part. And what I want to do with this part, I want to emulate this like hook over situation that our reference photo has going on here. So if we blow this up, you can see that it's like it's just a flat plate, but then it's got this cool like hook over the front. So we're gonna give that a shot. This one is much better. So let's get our I think I'm getting better at OBS. You guys will let me know. Alright. We can't really do much on this without... float this dude. We'll give it we'll cut this. So what I imagine is going to happen is we get a shape kind of going like this. What gauge is 1/8 inch steel? Is 1/8 inch even enough? This is going to be what supports the entire spoiler. So let me pull on my calipers here. .3/16 steel? Is that too much? This part can be aluminum. Let's go 3/16 on it because this piece can be aluminum. One thing I kind of got concerned about is the weight. Okay, so you said there's 5.5 between, and let's think. If they're 1/4 inch plates, that's 6 between, right? So let's just assume that let's give it an 1/8 of an inch clearance. That's chill. It kind of like disappears into that. Okay, so let's make that a feature. That's cool. Do Zoom calls get automatically recorded? I'm gonna pull that up real quick because if he took such good video that, and I was like too nervous to record. I should have recorded the Zoom call. Sorry, Dylan. I might need some more assistance. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up a video of the little car. See if he's got a close up on it. Okay, so I've got the video up where they accidentally bled the brakes into the body. Ooh, and they happen to be making the spoiler mount off the transmission. So, Gavin, if you ever end up watching this, you did a really good job. And I guess I'm really sorry that we're going to cut it up. If you know. Okay, so I'm looking at the spoiler situation. Or I'm sorry, the mount on the back of the spoiler, and it's like it's directly below it. Is that what we kind of have? Yeah, we have it pretty close to that. So I'd say like front to back wise, we're not going to be in too bad a shape. Let's see, they get the spoiler back on eventually. It's a lot of rap. Okay, here we go. Man, these poor guys. This car is whack. I mean, it's sick. Don't get me wrong. Anybody would love to play with that, but thing is... Okay, alright. We're cool on that. So, I don't think we need this thing anymore. Were we saying that it was 4 inches? Man, I can't remember. This was almost a week ago. 4 inches to the bottom. Yeah, that's about 4. So let's just draw this shape. Let's draw this shape kind of based off of that. So this lower cross member here isn't, it's off the front plane, which is not ideal. We would like it to be off of the front of this wing. Man, it's so hot in my house. Okay, so we're gonna do a, yeah, that looks pretty cool. So the bottom one is not going to be adjustable. That's not necessary, right? So we can actually start building that into a real functional piece. But let's get a little bit more detail on this here. What's funny is how small this thing actually is. Okay, now this needs a kickback thing to be cool. That's like a good percentage of the... I mean, I think that's the majority of why we're doing this, is to be cool. So let's give this a nice 45. How's that? Oof. We're going off feel on this too, you know, a little bit, but much more much more directed for manufacturing at this point. Now I'm just thinking about how I'm going to build it. But some of these angles that are just like super arbitrary, we're making them up, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. We're having fun with it. You know, I could live with that. I could actually live with it if it was a little bit higher, but let's try that. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere with that. Let's give that a try. Let's focus in on this a little bit. Okay, and then obviously we can't leave these super sharp corners, so my favorite feature in the entire world, fillet. And there's just something nice about a 1/4 inch fillet. Just makes you happy. You look at it and you're like, that's right. That's a 1/4 inch fillet. And you smile, the birds start chirping. Gorgeous, gorgeous, darling. Let's see here. I think this top, we're not gonna focus on that kind of stuff. We're gonna run out of time on the project deliverable if we don't focus up a little bit. So our total width here is 41 inches, but what is the max Z on? .256 millimeters. So what's 250? Nine and 7/8. So if we're trying to get to 41. That's 5. We need 5 prints across, so we'll have a center and 2 sides. All right. How long have we been doing this? 45 minutes. Honestly, I know I said I was gonna go hard tonight, but I am exhausted. So this is a good setup, and I'm really hot. I'm gonna give this a break. I might come back to it in an hour or two. All right, so everybody hang tight. I might hop back on here.